Hello my lovelies, I hope you are well. So this is a bit of a fun video. I'm just doing it because I want to have fun. I just want to do a little front facing for you, have a little chat even though you're not here with me, and celebrate the fact we're in October. We're heading to Samhain. It is autumn, my favourite time of the year. It is also a great time for snuggling up under a blanket with a mug of herbal tea and your favourite book. So as many of you know, especially if you're in our WhatsApp group, I love to read. I read a lot of books, and I also collect particularly special editions and sprayed edge books of books that I absolutely love. I only have one book that I caved while collecting that was actually a recent purchase because I loved the spray and I hadn't read it yet. So that is unusual for me. But I thought I would come and just recommend some cozy autumnal reads all the way through to some more, a little bit darker, more witchy vibe, bit more spicy books as well. So hopefully there is something here for everyone to pick up and give a go. Now I will give you the spice rating for them and let you know if there's any trigger warnings for you to look up. The spice rating books, if you don't read a ton, you might not be aware of it if you're not on Bookstagram and stuff like that. But basically books are marked between 0 chili peppers and 5 chili peppers as to how much on-page spice is in the book. Some people don't like spice, some people don't mind a little bit of spice, some people want a lot of spice. So we have something here for everyone. The first book is The Spell Shop. Now I was in a book hangover from an incredible series and I wanted something to read that would be cozy, no stress, no tension, no moments where I'm yelling at the book, telling them they need to run faster, or why are you not telling them this, and you know, the dramas that can be in books. I get very involved. And this was being recommended everywhere and I fell in love with the cover. I mean, who doesn't fall in love with this cover? So this book follows Keela and Kaz, who is her sentient spider plant. Yes, he is a plant, okay? This is magical, whimsical, and cozy vibes. This has a spice rating of 0. There is no spice in here, okay? So if you're a 0 spicer, this is safe. Now, she works in a library which is owned by those in charge of basically the capital that make the rules around magic, and it's a library filled of magical books, spell books, things the public are not allowed access to. But due to unrest and things going wrong, that library gets set on fire and her and Kaz have to flee. She won't leave the books. Typical book person like myself, I will come for my books. She takes as many books as she can, which is technically illegal. They grab a boat and they take to the waters to try to travel to where she was born, because she has a house there. She was left by her parents, but it was many, many years ago. So she does manage to get to that island with, you know, a little bit in between. And when she gets there, she finds the house. It is in disarray and she meets a rather lovely stranger who lives down the way. There is kind of the romantic interest for this book, but it's not a book based around romance. Theirs is really a very deep friendship that develops, and like I said, there's no spicy vibes or anything like that in there. So plus also she's not particularly trusting because they have to have aliases. They don't want anyone to find out who they are to see they have the books. On this island, it's filled with magical people, magical creatures. There are merhorses, there are tree bears, there are just every type of magical being that you can imagine. So there's lots of cutesy bits and bobs in here. There's a lot of laughs in here. Her sentient plant, Kaz, is hilarious. There becomes another sentient being, which is very funny in their interactions and things as well. And some of the characters are super funny as well. So you will have a laugh. There's some banter. There's found family in here. And she opens a spell shop / jam shop. And the journey goes from there. So this is a really cutesy, cozy, autumnal read that will leave you feeling relaxed. The story's complete at the end, so it's not a series, and you won't have had any tension. It's just cutesy, mystical, and lovely. Now, the next book is ReWitched, and this is the book I purchased because of the spray. That is not normally what I allow myself to do. Otherwise, you could end up with way too many books. But I bought it. I had read the description. I wasn't too sure. And then I was like, well, you've bought it now. You are reading this book, Claire. So I did. Now, this again is a spice rating of 0. There's no on-page spice in here. And this particular book is a little bit tongue-in-cheek to me because our lead female is called Belladonna Blackthorn, and she works at the Lunar Bookshop. So that was a little bit roll eye for me, but it is cutesy. It is autumnal vibes. That's when this book was released, so I'm not going to be mad at it for going uber cute. Now, this is a little bit more magic, a little bit more witchiness than the Spell Shop, which is more kind of cutesy witchery. Because in this world, there are witches, and Belladonna is a witch. Her mum is a witch, but in their world, they have a coven, and they belong to that particular coven. But when you're born, you don't have your powers. Then you get your powers when you turn 16. And then from 16 to 30, the coven has nothing to do with you. They're not interested. Go away, learn your magic, hone your magic, use your magic however you see fit. And then at 30, you get called by the coven to come and be tested. Now, she doesn't get her invite. So a watchman, a rather nice looking, wonderful watchman, turns up at her bookshop. Well, it's not hers, it's where she's working, out of nowhere. And she, obviously, the humans don't know she's a witch. Humans don't believe in witchcraft. That's not a thing there. So he comes in, she's freaking out. He tells her she's got to come to the coven. You go to the coven, you get tested, and then the coven decides if you are worthy of your magic through this test that they put you through. If you are not worthy of your magic, they take it from you and you will be left magicless, which magic is in these witches' soul, basically. So that's the most horrific thing that can happen to you. So she has to go for the trial. Some shenanigans happen. Things start from there to get, you know, a bit more going. Not going to give you any spoilers. Basically, there is a lot of secrets. There is some good versus evil. There is a little bit of fight in here. The romance was what let this down for me because it wasn't developed. It was there. It was almost like the author wanted to, but it's not. I don't know if she just didn't want it to be the focus of it. But again, there is some humor in here. I loved the whole coven aspect, the discovering of the secrets, the trials that she had to go through. It's a really nice, another cozy book, a little bit of tension in it, but nothing that's like dramatic. You're still going to feel fabulous when you get to the end. I think this is a one-off book because it kind of closes off at the end, but it is, I guess, open enough. She could do another one if she wanted. Now, if that kind of more cozy, more cutesiness is not for you, we're going to step it up a little with a romantasy. Now, this is Entreat Me. Now, if you're looking for this book on Amazon or Waterstones, anywhere like that, it's not going to look like this. This is a special edition from Arcane Society. The only way you can get it now is occasionally they come up on eBay. I had to hunt for months and months and months to get this guy. So I will show you the special edition. So this is it. This is like a soft touch thing. It's got the papers inside, and it is also signed by Grace Draven. and it's got the beautiful sprayed edges. Well, technically these are patterned edges, not sprayed, but yeah. So I love this edition. I had to get it because I loved the book. I had this on Audible, but you can get it on Spotify. BookBeat has this as well. So if you have any of those, you can read Entreat Me. Now, Entreat Me is a kind of Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's not set in our time. It's, I guess, what all of us would call like olden days in the way they speak sort of thing. There's no kind of, it's not really this world, but it is very, very similar to our world, just sort of like, you know, 50, 60 plus onwards years ago. And it starts out with a family that the dad has got himself in terrible debt, and the man that he owes is a evil person and basically wants his youngest daughter in payment for his debts. And the dad and the sister, she has an older sister, is like, hell no, like what, you perv. I mean, he's old, it's gross. I mean, ugh. I still feel cringy now. So Lavaine, that's her, is the older sister, and her younger sister is currently dating someone, or being like, what would it be called back then? I don't know, like wooed by them, you know, where they come and sit in the garden with them, have tea, that type of thing. And suddenly her sister runs off with him because he is rich and he has offered to pay the debts. But she doesn't tell her older sister this. She just disappears in the middle of the night. Then her sister needs to go after her and be like, where has my sister gone? Thinking she's been kidnapped. He's going to like take her virtue. She won't be able to get a husband. This is about an adult woman, this book. She is a widow. She has real like spunk to her. She is not going to take no shit from anyone. She is really kick-ass for her time. And she goes after her sister, finds her in this magically hidden kind of castle, and there is a dad and a son that live there, and that is where she finds out all is not as it seems, and it becomes her story. And I mean, the others as well, everyone's there, but it really is Lavaine's story from there. It is so good. There is mystery, there is magic, there is found family. The romance is just fabulous. The spice is here. If you're here for the spice, this is about a 2.53 on the spice scale. So the spice is on page. There aren't trigger warnings with this one, so you should be good as long as you're fine with on-page spice. It is a different kind of romance. There's no cutesiness in here. She doesn't really do cutesy. She's extremely blunt. The women are very strong-willed. The men are very interesting. But I don't want to give too much away. I can't even give as much detail on this as I did the other two because it will give stuff away, and I want you to discover it yourself because that is the joy of this, and it's just a great book. Again, it's a standalone book, so this is not a series. You can read it and you'll feel like super satisfied at the end. So that is Entreat Me. Then we move into our darker, those of you that like something more witchy, more witchcraft, more spice, more kind of spooky season, Halloween-esque witchcraft vibes. So my recommendation would be The Coven. Look at these beautiful sprayed edges. This is a US edition, but you can get this here in the UK on eBay, new from booksellers, as well as from a couple of book sites as well. But we do have a new edition that's just come out here, which is what Waterstones have. And they just basically put a design on the cover under the dust jacket. So, I mean, I personally prefer the sprayed edges, but if you want to get that book, go have a look at it. Waterstones have them in store, at least our one does. So the Coven is dark academia. Again, even though it's dark academia, and this is technically taking place at a university, if you like, it's called Hollows Grove University. This is not about children. Again, these are all people that are in their 20s upwards, so it's not about like young kids. I personally just don't like reading about 16-year-olds in school. It is not my thing. So everyone in this is an adult, and some are very, very old. So it is about Willow. And Willow has been brought up by her father away from the university because her mother ran away from the university when she was younger, and they have basically been in hiding. Her mother unfortunately has passed, and her dad has trained her to basically be like a weapon against this university because of things that happened at the university. His sister died. At least that's what we're told. And she then, with all this training, he's very abusive. She's now in her 20s. She wants to protect her younger brother, who is much younger than her. He is by a different father, so he has a different father to go to, and she knows she's going to be called to this university. But instead, the headmaster, Alaric, actually turns up to pick her up because she is the last heir to one of the types of magic. Here, everyone, all of the witches has an affinity for a certain type of magic. So there's like blood magic, there's crystal magic, which is so gorgeous. They have these big crystal beds. There's earth magic, where they work with the earth and bring flowers alive and things like that. So there's these different ways of working with magic and witchcraft. A lot of it is reasonably accurate in some ways. So this is the most witchy that you will find out of these recommendations. And when she arrives at the school, or technically the university, things don't go as planned at all. In fact, her plans kind of go out of the window. Along the way, she gets some found family. There is obviously the dark romance in here. There are so many secrets. Murders start happening, and she's trying to figure out why these students are being murdered. It's a whole mystery that is kind of unveiling as you go through the book. I can't tell you too much more, or I'm going to give away a spoiler, which I absolutely do not want to do. Now, as I mentioned, this book is like a 3.54 chili peppers on the spice rating. It is a much spicier book. There are also trigger warnings, so I do recommend checking the trigger warnings on these books if you have any triggers, okay? So this is just a really, really good book. But I will say, at the end, I was still enthralled enough to be like, I need to know what happens next. So I went straight on to The Cursed, which is book 2, which has this incredible embossed Hecate symbol on the front, because she is from the line of Hecate witches. So in here, this is better than the first book, in my opinion. We find out some like super big reveals. We have people come into it that make us question, actually, who is the evil here and who is the good here. We have lots of magic, lots of witchcraft, relationships taken to like different insane levels in here. You find out who someone truly is and more details on that, which is, I love that. It's a really interesting story. This gets super duper witchy in here. There is the triple goddess. There is source energy, talked about, worked with, meeting with source, meeting with the triple goddess. It's just really, really good. There is going to be a third book apparently. Whilst part of the story wraps up, it does have a bit of a cliffhanger, but not one that I found was bothering, where I'm like, oh my god, I have to, like, what now? It's like, I can wait, you know. They wrap up what needs to be wrapped up in here. But again, check your trigger warnings. This is a full-on 4 when it comes to the spice. This is a true dark romantasy series. So hopefully there is something here for everyone. If you have read any of these books, let me know down below what you think. Books are so personal. People have very different tastes. People like different genres. My husband likes to read sci-fi. I can't stand it. So it's always interesting to me what other people think of books. If you have any book recommendations that you want to give me that are in kind of romantasy or dark romantasy type sort of thing, then I am always open to a good recommendation. But that is it from me, my lovely. It's just a bit of a fun video, really. Something to just like hopefully brighten your day a little bit. And I will speak to you all very soon. Blessed be.